Hi, it's Jan Peter, and this is an Atari Mega ST1, or in this case Mega 1, which is in pretty crusty condition. And today's project is going to be to open this, to see what's inside, to see if I need to fix it, and to restore it to its former glory, hopefully. So I haven't even turned this on. I know very little in general about Atari STs other than the design for the ST was basically taken by Commodore engineers to Atari, and then Atari beat Commodore to release a machine with the 68K processor and brought out the Atari ST. And this is a later incarnation in a desktop kind of case. It's very tiny and cute, and I really like the design of the Ataris of that era. So these machines are basically Atari 1040 STs in another case and with an external keyboard. And if you saw my Patreon vlogs, you saw me unbox this thing, and you also know that I didn't get a keyboard when I initially got this. I found one on eBay actually that is also pretty yellow, but it's in decent state otherwise, so this hopefully works. And I also have a little mouse that I got from back from my Amiga days that you can switch to Atari ST, so I'm going to use that. The Atari ST has a little bit of a different pin out than the Amiga when it comes to the mouse, but otherwise the devices are pretty similar. I also, without knowing if this even works, because I didn't turn it on yet, I also bought a SCART cable with one of these. I bought this because this is what the plug looks like, and I don't feel any urge to solder this because my love for DIN connectors, as long as I don't have to solder them. So let's open this and check out the insides, and then maybe, if it looks good, try to power it on. So let's see. I did a minimal amount of research, and I found out that this here is a battery compartment. So let's see if there's any batteries in there. I hope. Fingers crossed there are no batteries left in there, because they probably will have leaked if they are in there. Opening the battery compartment. Oh, and there are batteries in there. No way. Magic cell. Oh no. I'm going to try to remove them. I hope they haven't leaked that badly. There's a bit of rust, but otherwise it looks pretty nice. There's definitely leakage going on there. Okay, this one's still wet, it seems. Ugh. The contacts look really clean, so the batteries probably have leaked to below, and there's no major holes that could leak the battery juice on the main board that's presumably under there. So I hope this didn't do any damage. We'll see when we open this. Okay, this washes away pretty nicely. Okay, now let's see how we are going to open this thing. Yeah, I think we have to remove the screws on the bottom there. So let's do that. So maybe that's the thing to do. I don't really know. Oh, this is a long screw. A very long screw here. Another long one here. And there's a center screw. So there are two kinds of screws in this case. The long machine screws and these shorter like case screws, standard stuff. Something. Old trick. Can't fool me. There's a seal. This one is still sealed. This one apparently has never been opened. It's the original Atari seal. And it says in German that damaging the seal voids your warranty, basically. Which is void anyway, because Atari, in the form that it existed back then, doesn't exist anymore. So no warranty to speak of anymore. So I'm going to break the seal before your very eyes. Okay. Okay, now this should lift off easily. It does. Okay. This is some serious shielding going on here. Okay, the whole thing is fixed with these little things that you just twist a bit, and then just parts of the metal there that you twist out of the way, and then you can move the whole thing. It's a bit. I'm having a bit of a moment because I'm the first person to open this, obviously, because it was sealed with the original seal. But otherwise, it doesn't look too bad. I was afraid the battery didn't leak. Oh, there are 2 screws, I think. Yep. Okay, there we go. This should just stay in there. Ah, there we are. Okay, so this looks very, very clean. Let me put my wrist strap on, just in case. So there's a lot of stuff I don't know anything about because I'm not experienced with Atari STs at all. So this is our 68K processor, so that's clear. This is, I think, the internal expansion port that these have. The Atari Mega bus, is it called like that? There's another connector for power. This is our PSU. No blown up caps in there, I guess. So it all looks pretty tidy and pretty nice, actually. So I guess we can just try to power this on. And I unscrewed the drive. Oh, there's our, seems to be our memory. Yep, that's our RAM. So I wonder if you can get more RAM on there. Doesn't look like it. I wonder how much RAM this has. I think it must be 1 megabyte. It's the first edition of the Mega ST, I believe. There's room for a little fan in the back here, but there's no fan mounted. Okay, here's the money shot. Mega ST. Ref I .1? 1.1? I don't know. So this is interesting. There's a lot of unpopulated and unsoldered. The holes go through there actually, which is pretty uncommon. ROM spaces, so you can probably put sockets in there and upgrade the ROM, the TOS on this one. I believe the little chip on here, which is a 74LS74, is for fixing some timing issue. There's a little hot glue that came loose, probably was sitting on top of the processor. So I can't really say anything about this. I will have to make another more in-depth system review sometime, if this works at all. So what I'm going to do now is to actually put some power to this thing and try if it still works or if it blows up, which is pretty common actually for especially for power supplies that have been idle for a long time. So this might just blow up in my face. I don't hope so, but I don't expect it to because it looks really good from the inside. But yeah, you never know. Okay, here goes the smoke test. Let's see. Oh, and it actually outputs the picture. And the drive starts clicking. Okay, we got the drive light up permanently, which I don't know if it's all right. And we have a white or gray output. Oh, okay. So we have a screen. It took a really long time, but we have an output. That's probably the system that's in the ROM. Okay, there we are. It stopped clicking, and this looks like an Atari screen to me. Amazing. So this thing seems to work. yeah, let's see if we can do anything useful with it. So I found this mouse, which is a Sunnyline yellow with a yellowed cable mouse that I actually used back in the day for my Amiga 2000. And this one, I remembered, has a little switch that you can switch it to Atari. So this should now behave like an Atari mouse. So you can connect the mouse to the keyboard actually. There's a little D-sub plug here that the mouse fits in. And this should hopefully work. I don't know. Haven't tried. Let's try again. Okay, and the light on the keyboard also comes on, which is a good sign, of course. Okay, let's see what we can do here. Extras. Settings. Can go to medium screen resolution. Let's see what it does. Okay, there we are. Medium screen resolution. Nice. Let's see. TOS 1989. Doesn't say which version it is. Probably you Atari aficionados already know. Okay, so this seems to be working nicely. So I hope the keyboard works. I don't really have a means to test the keyboard with any. Oh, there we go. Okay. I can press alternate and then use the arrows as mouse pointer. Ah, I can use the insert key. That's very handy. Okay. Okay, I can use the keyboard, I can use the mouse. The mouse doesn't work all too well, so I need a better mouse sometime, I guess. So the first step is probably to get this all out of the case. Looks good. Also this doesn't look too great. Okay, here we are in the bathroom and I'm going to give the case a good wash and a scrubbing. I'm just going to leave the battery terminals in there because yeah, they probably can use scrubbing too after the battery is leaked in there. So using some household soap with lavender and my shower head. So okay, let's get it on. So for the more stubborn staining here, I'm using one of those magic eraser sponges. Okay, so I removed all the crud. There's some cleaning to be done, some more fine-tuning. Okay, in the kitchen I'm using a window cleaner thingo and a kitchen sponge that I'm not going to use as a kitchen sponge to fine-tune the cleaning process here. Okay, I'm washing all the parts with window cleaner and then drying them with a little cloth, and then I'll be right back. While the Atari Mega ST case soaks in some soapy water, I thought why not prepare some disk images to try later, hopefully, on the machine, if it still works later. And for that purpose, I just plugged in my retro Windows XP PC, which has a nice, ugly blue glow and this hilarious looking case. But what it also has is a built-in floppy disk drive that is connected directly to the mainboard, non-USB floppy disk drive. So that's what you need, a directly connected floppy disk drive and a Windows installation that is, I think, Windows 2000 or newer. Okay, and I need to restart right away. I love Windows XP. Yay. Okay, and it's set up as a Linux machine, but I have an XP partition on there just in case, and now it's the case, it seems. Dear user, in case you were living under a rock for the last decade or so, support for Windows XP ended on April 8th, 2014. So the app we are looking for is called Floimg, which is short for Floppy Image Program. And this here is the website. So okay, this says we have to download fdraw command low-level floppy driver by Simon Owen. So we're downloading this latest version from April 25th, 2010. I'm going to put the links in the description of the video so you can play along. And then I'm going to download floppy image and file transfer program. Save. So now that we got the imaging software installed, we need some Atari ST floppy disk images that I put on this USB stick, and we need some double density floppies that I bought a while ago. New old stock, double-sided double density is what you need. The HD high density floppies will work if you format them as 720 kilobyte floppies, but they're not very reliable in these old drives most of the times. That said, I'm using high density floppies in my Amiga for quite a while now, and they work flawlessly. I don't know how it is with the Atari, so if you want to be safe, use double density floppy disks. Open image file 6, so I can image to floppy. And this should write the image I just opened to the floppy, I guess. Let's see. And I clicked format, so it formats the disk too. Okay, now we have a progress bar. Now we're talking. So this is how it works. You have to select an image file. The user interface is like very 90s. You have to open an image file and then click on image to floppy, and can change the parameters if you want. And it reads ST files and DSK files, and yeah. So the case is relatively dry now, and it looks better than before, definitely. It has a lot of yellowing, but the crust is gone. There is this one spot in the corner here that we're going to look at in a second. The bottom side doesn't look too bad too. There's a lot of yellowing in the rear, but no dirt. The seal came off a bit, and the sticker also is a bit wet still. I think it gets better when it dries, but yeah, it was really dirty, so I had to scrub this, and probably should have removed this or tried to remove it, but the sticker itself was dirty, so it wasn't a bad idea to scrub it, I guess. So here's what I'm talking about. There's something, whatever happened, maybe some chemicals or some paint. There's like pink dots on there, and they are shaped like little craters, so maybe this is a chemical reaction of some sort. I think I'm just going to try and file this down a bit. Got a bunch of these files you use for nails, so maybe this is going to work, I don't know. Let's try. Just going to remove this so it looks better than before, probably afterwards. Hopefully. Okay, I'm not saying this looks as good as new, because it doesn't, but most of the discoloration is gone, and I'm probably going to get away with this. I think I'm going to retrobright this. There's some strange looking discoloration here right on the front. I'm not sure about that, but probably it's going to be fine if we get the rest of the case to this color. Maybe there was a sticker on here or something, but it looks kind of strange. I don't know. So I'm also going to clean the front side of the disc strap here. Usually they pop right off, I guess. Okay, this one pops right off. Okay. This looks pretty crusty, so it'll get some soapy water too. Okay, now I have this set up without the case. It's probably still gonna work. Yes, it does. Let's see. Let's see what this system is. This program will not work with this resolution. So I managed to start this sysinfo program from the disk we just made on the PC. So let's have a look. We have an ST, 68008 MHz. There's no coprocessor. TOS is 104, which is one of the more recent ones. It's not the first one. This is one with a lot of bug fixes, I think. TOS nationality is Germany. We saw that all the text is in German. There's a blitter in there. Resolution is medium. We have 4 colors. The mouse position. The system time, of course, is way off. It's 1991 because we don't have the battery connected. We have 3200 bytes, 32,000 bytes screen memory. Total RAM 1 megabyte. Free RAM 1798 kilobytes. That's what we have. This is basically a standard ST that has a blitter chip, which is only available in the later models, I think. So this is pretty awesome. Seems to work. Nice! So actually I decided to go with some retrobrighting. And I have my setup that I used before for the Commodore 128 with my grow light. I am aware that this isn't a UV lamp, it's a full spectrum light. Usually these are mostly blue and red, so that's the pink light you're going to see. It still worked last time, so I'm going with the same method for the Mega ST. And I'm using the peroxide cream I used before.
Ghostbusters!
Okay, so here's what I do every half an hour. I pull the plug so the light goes off. Turn on the regular lighting. And here we are. Our retrobrighting setup. And then I go in and just carefully massage this a bit. And change the position of the pieces so that everything gets retrobrighted equally. So I think I want to take care of the keyboard too, as the keys are a bit yellowed and the case too, and it's a bit dirty, so I'm going to take this apart. There's date codes on all these circuit boards, and this seems to be from the 23rd week of 1990. The main board seems to be from the 33rd week of 1990, so the main board is slightly younger than the keyboard. So after another day of furious chemical reactions, I am going to call it a day. The parts are much brighter than before and much less yellow, so I think I'm going to call it a wrap. The keys are still, I put them on the heater actually, because they have a gradient from yellow on top to white on the bottom, so I hope to get that off with a bit of heat. Okay, back in the lab and with some proper studio lighting. It's a white video light. I can see that it's a lot better than before, but I can also see that there's still some remnants of yellowing. Example in this area here, there was like a yellow stripe there, but look how the front turned out. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So this worked pretty well. I was a bit worried because the plastic is not white or anything near white, it's gray. So, but this seemed to have worked very well. It took a while, so I'm going to let this dry. And yeah, I hope the keys turn out equally as well. We'll see about that. So on the keys, I just put the keys on the radiator here. So I hope that they are going to react better with some heat. So I'm using sunlight here for the keys that are still submerged in hydrogen peroxide, but they still are pretty yellow, and it's been some hours. Okay, I've set the oven to 50 degrees Celsius and the heating light is off, so it reached its temperature. Let's see how much it has. It's like 52, 58. Maybe that helps. Okay, let's put it in there. It's just cozy, warm in there, so that's gonna be okay for the plastic, hopefully. Otherwise, I have a problem. Let's see. While the keys are still in the oven, hopefully to become a bit brighter, I thought I'd put together the main machine now, because it actually turned out pretty nicely. Yeah, there's still a bit of a gradient to the back here, but look at the front. It's still a bit brownish from the back side, but it's very, very subtle, so I'm really satisfied with how this turned out. This actually looks pretty darn good. And even the chemical spill or whatever it was on the corner here looks way better now. Okay, so this is definitely way better than before. So I'm pretty satisfied with this. Nice. So while I wait for the keys to get whiter. I want to remove these feet and replace them with these 3M bump-on rubber feet. Probably not real rubber. Doesn't even say. It's no real rubber, it's just a rubbery feeling plastic. So, trying to remove these, probably I'm going to use a screwdriver for that. This is pretty yucky. Okay, there we go. Okay, so that's probably the way to go. Let's see if these feet fit in there at all. Yeah, and it's the standard size, which is, in this case, it's probably size in inches, 12.7 millimeters. So that's the exact size that fits in there. Nice, so I'm going to replace all of them. Much better. It already feels better. So my keys have been sitting in the oven for quite some hours, all evening yesterday and most of the day today. Okay, so this is normal daylight, and as you can see, so they are still yellow, that's what I'm pointing at, and there's not been much changed for the last couple of hours, so I think I'll just call it a day. Okay, after the whole thing didn't go all that well, I am now taking more extreme measures, and I am preparing a little box that I had lying around, which is, this is bubble wrap actually. This meant to be thermal insulation. My little container fits inside the box, and I'm going to fill this with my keys, and I think I'm going to take some Vanish Oxy Action Gold this time, which supposedly works as well for retrobrighting. And then I am going to take my UV light and attach it to this so that the silver lining here can reflect the light, so it hopefully gets on all sides of the keys, and maybe this time the chemicals are going to work their magic better. I don't know. The UV light also gets a bit warm, so it should heat it up. So I'm going to use warm water from the tap and some oxygen. It says that you use, for soaking stuff, you use 1 spoon for 4 liters of water. This is approximately 1 liter, so I'm going to use a quarter a spoon of this stuff and hope that it does something. So okay, I think I'm going to let this run for half an hour or so and then come back and see if it works. So this is where we're at now. The method I tried didn't do much, but it at least did a bit. And then I reached out to some people on Twitter again, and it seems to be a difference depending on what material the keys are. There is the possibility, I'm not an expert in plastics at all, so there is a possibility that these keys are made of resin, which would make them higher quality than if they were made of ABS plastics. And they indeed feel a bit nicer and harder than the rest of the keyboard. So that might be the case. In that case, people recommend that you use that peroxide doesn't do much, but the vanish oxy action that I also used would do more. So what I did now is to, let me turn this off, refine this a bit, and actually put in peroxide and the vanish oxy action at the same time. So I have basically replaced the water that was in there with hydrogen peroxide. So yeah, and that seems to do something with the light, which isn't a real UV light. It's called a full spectrum light, but what it really is blue LEDs and pink LEDs mixed up that have, I think they obviously have a high percentage of UV light coming out of them because they are not very, because they have a broad spectrum of light coming out of them, but the UV light that's coming out of there is more or less accidental. It also heats up the water significantly, and my padded box there helps. So the water there is at nearly 50 degrees Celsius, which is an okay temperature for plastics. I just a minute ago, I saw a video by the 8-bit guy who recommends like 54 to 60 degrees Celsius for retrobrighting. Then it supposedly works without UV light even. So yeah, what I find is that heating it up definitely does something. For these, it didn't do anything with only the peroxide in it, in the oven. So yeah, I'm going to do a couple of more rounds, and then I'm going to rinse them and dry them and put them back on the keyboard. Yeah, they're still yellow. Definitely still yellow, but a lot better than before. So, and as you can see, there's still some color differences, but it got a lot brighter than before. I'll probably redo this at some point, but yeah, it's okay for now, I guess. Let's put it back together. So I heard Gianna Sisters is one of the worst conversions from the Amiga version. So we're gonna see about that. Music's not too bad. Okay, this is a bit fast. Okay, plays okay. Now what? No, they didn't. Okay, they didn't do any scrolling. The screen just... Oh man, okay, that's bad. Okay, I see, it looks pretty pixel perfect to the Amiga version, but it plays... I mean, it plays alright, but you don't have scrolling. It's just... okay, that's a bit odd. Okay, so this is the end of this restoration. For now, I am going to do more restoration on the electrical side of things in a later video. I already have some ideas for that. This was primarily about the case and keyboard and stuff like that. So thanks for watching. I'm Jan Peter. See you next time. Bye.